physically touch me. Like I've had my own shares of. I had somebody that like I've been married. Like I told you, she get mad, she pull out a gun. I ain't no punk. And I'm looking at her. I'm like, what was that supposed to do? Is that supposed to scare me? Oh, it's loaded. Okay, so what? I'm just sitting there looking at her.
Really?
That's abuse. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is gaslighting, like you said, deflecting. Even
you
the
know
silent treatment is abuse.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's why when you say female abuse, men there been abused, then she goes ahead, hit me, call the police.
Yeah.
Police
That's
comes there.
abuse. Yeah.
Police comes there and she's talking.
He hit me.
The mom supports her.
You call the police?
Not me. She called the police, crying on the
she
phone.
called
To get him. Because,
and the mom supports her like bam,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
I'm like, you were not even here when it happened. You got here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then she picked up a knife like, oh, I'm gonna stab you. I said, hey, okay, fine. I had a hammer in my hands. I'm like, hey,
Hammer
you've been doing
versus
all
knife.
this. If you stab me, I'm sure you ain't gonna have no skull because I'm gonna break your head. Just stay away
Straight
from
up.
me.
Yeah.
I'm protecting myself at this point. You get what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
no, absolutely.
Police gets there,
That's-
she's yelling, oh yeah, he hit me. Bro, I was easily like 340, 350 at the time. Big as shit. And the police was like, oh, ma'am, you say he hit you. The first one that came there was already rough handling me. Like, oh, stand back. I'm like, bro, I didn't even do shit. You didn't even know what happened. Then the supervisor came and was like, yo, what happened? She like, he hit me. And he was like, where? And she a little light skinned, like, no, like light, but she like, on my face. And he looked at her and said, you say where he hit you? If this man I'm seeing right here
Hit you.
hit you,
There'll be
there's
a
no way
bruise.
in hell
There's no
we
bruise.
will not see no bruise.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And he's like, sir, do you want to,
Press charges.
you want to leave? No, press charges. It's a long story. Like, listen, I left. She had my stuff. She wouldn't let me take my passport, my school
Lord.
documents, all that shit. I left that night. She goes back and tell because at the time I just came to America, so tells the police go report that the phone. I was paying for the phone, but it wasn't her name. I didn't have credit and none of that stuff. Oh, I stole the phone. I was in church.
She's an abuser.
Playing. Like 5 police officers. Nigerian church, you know how it is. They come outside. They're like, oh yeah, sir, you gotta come outside. I'm like, what? I was playing. I was on the altar and I come outside and she's like, oh yeah, you're in possession. And the officer's like, oh, you're in possession of a stolen property. I'm like, first of all, that's my like, how would I steal? And I showed them pictures like, oh yeah, do you have the receipt? I'm like, so I'm just gonna walk around with the receipt of a phone I paid for. Like, what the hell are you talking
Who
about?
does that?
It's like, oh yeah, if you don't have the receipt, I'm gonna have to arrest you for possession of stolen property.
You got arrested.
No, I gave her the phone. He left.
Oh, okay.
He left. She goes back to the magistrate and says that I still have the phone when the phone was already taken from me. And I don't know how that happened. They had an issue they had a warrant for my arrest. So at this point, they was on site. Whenever they see me, so the sheriff goes back to the church, and I was staying with somebody at the time, and he says, hey, I don't know what you have going on with this lady, but she's trying to do some, called my friend I was staying with, and I turned myself in.
Wow.
Went downtown, they did and waited to see the magistrate and shit, and the magistrate was like, man, I don't know what you got going on, but this person don't love you, just make sure you get a lawyer, X, Y, Z, da. And, I did all that stuff, and they said, oh, you want to file charge? I'm like, no, I just want a restraining order. I want her nowhere near me.
And that's
your wife?
not talked about
That was
enough.
married to
That's the wife.
I'm sorry
okay.
that happened to you.
No, it's cool.
That's what's not talked about enough
Yeah.
is, abuse from that perspective.
Yeah,
from
I-
when it's the men. Because a lot of times one of the issues that women have and people don't want to talk about is emotional regularity.
Oh, yeah.
It's, there's no limits. There's
Right.
no boundaries when typically most women get upset and get mad. It's
Right.
like they can do anything. They're capable of doing anything, even if it means your freedom.
Yeah.
And that's not okay, and that's not talked
But
about
again,
enough.
Society sides with the
But that's
women.
what brings me to where I'm at today is like, I meet women and they're like, oh, you're so nonchalant, you're so cold, you're so that. I'm like, bro, if you on some bullshit, I'm not paying attention. I'm not wasting my energy. There's different things I could do. Like, I feel like as a man, when you have boundaries or you know who the hell you are.
There you go.
To certain women, like, you're like,
Yeah, stay over
you're
there.
doing too much. You're like, oh, like, nah, it's not that. It's not doing too much. Just like, hey, I get it. You're pretty and
not
all,
doing too much.
but I'm not playing that. I'm not playing those games. There'll be times where I'll settle for.
Remember, Chidi?
Like
Yeah.
I'll settle for things like that. But at the time, I didn't know myself.
There you go. I was just going to say that.
I didn't know myself,
Goes
and
back
I'm
to
honest about it. Like,
self-awareness.
it got to a point in my life where I was like, you know what, something has to give.
Yeah.
Like, I was in a very dark place mentally. Something has to give, and I'm like, I play basketball, so I'm like, damn, I had an injury, I couldn't play no more. So I was like, okay, let me go back to the gym. And I started going to the gym. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna work out for 120 days, or no, you know how they do the 75 days hard challenge?
Yeah.
I said, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. And I started going, and I started seeing, Dan, the things that I used to think you should make me happy. I'm like, damn, you're just insecure as hell. I felt really bad
Growth.
for myself.
Okay.
Like once it pops up on my, I'm like, damn, I feel.
You see how it took you that process.
Yeah.
So
growth.
every day of just like, and just
Growth.
so when people come around me, they're like, Bobby, damn, you're so quiet now. You're so gentle. How don't you drink no more? I'm like, I don't know, but I never saw myself doing that. But that's why when people talk to me, I'm like, man, just go to the gym. Just go somewhere and figure out yourself, because you can't give what you don't have. And a lot of times women are looking for something in the person that they can't even give themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not happy, how am I supposed to make you happy?
Sure.
Okay, so now let me start with you, Sophia. What advice do you have for the abused and the abuser?
Oh, yeah,
Before
sorry, how do you want to advise somebody that's abusing somebody?
No. Wait, no. Okay, well,
so, yeah, it's the abuser. Is the abuser?
So before we even get to that, I wanted to say this earlier, Chidi.
Yeah.
I know that you've got your mindset. When you have your mindset on something, you literally stay there no matter what, right? But when you keep saying, I don't have much sympathy or empathy for the abused, I want you to keep in mind that that's not something that is chosen per se. We are human beings. The way our psyche is constructed, people have learned how to tap into that, to change or rewire how you see life, how you see yourself and all these things. It's not a choice that, I want to not love myself. No one chooses that. So I think empathy is part of realizing that they didn't know better at the time. And given that would also put you in a place where you can actually maybe help one day, because just saying I don't really have much sympathy or empathy is like, well, it's your fault because you opened that door. You can come across someone who's going through that and you cannot even help them or put them in a space to encourage them to say, hey, you're not in a healthy situation, get out, because you feel their pain. It's very important as human beings that we feel each other, because if not, we can't help each other. Okay. And I think that the only advice I would give someone who's going through an abusive relationship, number one is when you recognize it, speak up and speak out. Tell somebody, because a lot of times it is associated with shame, disconnect from people, because you don't want people to judge you. But if we make people feel like, hey, it's not all your fault, but you have the responsibility to get out because it's your life. I think that would put things in a different perspective, to where the person is not feeling ashamed to say, hey, I was in a place where I let myself go enough for someone to take advantage of me, and I realize that now, and I just want help to get out. They're not gonna keep it to themselves, because a lot of times people keep that and they literally, it eats away at them to the point where they just give up trying to get out. It's like, well, this is what it is, nobody cares anyways, so I'm just gonna stay here and take it to the day, one day's gonna kill me, oh well. And that's a very difficult place to be in, because you feel like no one really is going to understand or no one cares. So I think abused people need more empathy than not, because they have been taken advantage of in the worst way, psychologically, because that's like the engine to your existence, your mind. If your mind is I guess affected in that way, then you can't even function as a person. There's no growth, there's no productivity. You're literally in an internal prison, and it's really bad. Imagine a physical prison, but worse, because internally you can't see an out. There's no door. No one's letting you out for an hour a day to go to the yard.
What about if you are the abused and the abuser at the same time? If you are the abused and the abuser at the same time, in other words, we don't have any second party. You are the one abusing yourself, you are the one being abused, and you are the one abusing yourself. So who takes the blame? Who takes the responsibility?
It's very difficult for you alone to be the abused and the abuser to another person, because if you're the abuser, that's what you are. You're doing it to somebody else. You can't really you've been abused.
No, we can abuse ourselves.
No.
We can abuse ourselves.
But no, wait, listen. You've been abused. That's why you became an abuser. So it's a different stage of your abuse.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? So you've turned the abuse into abusing someone else at this point. So you're no longer the abused. That stage is evolved to you becoming the abuser. So now that is an effect with someone else at this stage. For me, what I tell abusers that I've spoken to, it's like, do you realize that you decided to stay in a place where you were a low-level vibration person? Like, you didn't even care to know yourself well enough to know your own worth, because you found that stealing someone else's energy was how you got validated. Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
You're stealing from someone else for you to validate yourself and to power yourself up. You're stealing energy
Yeah.
at this
right.
point. That's what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So when they're not realizing